Welcome to ChiroSphere, where we talk about all things chiropractic and some things not so chiropractic. Surprise! I'm Kristi Hudson, filling in for our host of ChiroSphere and CEO of ChiroHealth USA, Dr. Ray Worth. And I am so excited to have chiropractic powerhouse and best-selling author, Dr. Neema Moore, join us today. Dr. Neema has blended her extensive healthcare knowledge with a passionate commitment to enhancing the lives of women around the globe. Her pioneering Confidence Now program and its corresponding Amazon bestseller book are powerful tools in her mission to empower women to overcome obstacles and achieve their fullest potential. Today, Dr. Neema is going to share her unique perspective on personal growth, leadership, and creating successful communities dedicated to mutual success. Thank you so much for joining us
Yay!
today.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited that you're interviewing me today. Thank you so much for having me and even asking me to be on the show.
Oh, you're welcome. And I am so excited. I mean, I have been dying to have you on the podcast for several months, but with your crazy schedule,
Right.
it's kind of hard to fit it in. So I'm so glad we finally did it. So we're going to start off with my favorite topic.
Yeah.
Book, which
Yes.
I wish I wouldn't like. This has been up. I've read this so many times. And as you know,
Oh,
I have featured it in several of my PowerPoint presentations around the country. I quote it. My favorite line is like right there in the first chapter. Like it totally grabbed me. It's like, don't listen to your brain, it lies to you.
yes.
Um, so now that your book has achieved Amazon bestseller status, what impact do you hope it has on women who read it? And what key messages do you want them to take away?
Oh my gosh. First of all, thank you so much, Kristi, for just always being such a supporter and talking about my book and introducing it to more and more women. And I just hope that this book continues to inspire women to walk in their greatness. Um, and that they can truly do anything that they put their mindset to, which is my first chapter, is on mindset. And I hope that it just continues to inspire women to be themselves and to believe in themselves as well. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of guidance, getting around the right people, talking to yourself in the right way so that you can achieve those dreams that you have set forth. Well, go ahead, Kristi. Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead. I was like, I feel like this is like your best girlfriend pep talk right in your house.
That's how I wrote it. I wanted women to be able to put it in their purse and kind of take it with them. There's exercises in there for people to do. My first degree is in education, so I'm always kind of wanting people to leave with a little bit of homework or some tools that they can create for themselves as they walk away from the book. So that's really important to me.
I love that. So you're a CEO, you're an author,
Mhm.
you're a doctor, you're a mom. So
Yes.
how do you balance like all of your professional responsibilities with your personal life? And what advice do you give women striving to do this?
I think one of the main things is to be present. Joy is found in being present. So that means, what does that look like? That means when you're with your kids, be with your kids. Plan time, be intentional about the time that you spend with the people that you love. You're always going to be thinking about business and working on business, but it's about blocking that time out to schedule to get things done. You know what? I'm going to work 2 hours on my business right now. I know that I'm going to work this day in my chiropractic office, but in also not making the people you love part of your day, scheduling time with them, being present, not flipping through your cell phone when you're at dinner, right? Like putting your cell phone down, looking at them in the eye, asking them how their day was, asking even like this is one of the things that I love that I've learned through my coaching is how can you support them? How do you want me to support you? In something that maybe you're not involved in. Maybe they run a business that's different from yours. And I'm talking about like when we're talking about spouses, or maybe they're in business, or maybe they're in corporate, but asking, when they have those challenges, how can I support you? Or, how can I help you with that issue? That just makes people feel supported and connected. I do the same thing with my children. So I'm really big on relationships. Relationships are vital. I think they're vital to women feeling happy and thriving, especially, moms who have so many things to do. So I think the main thing is being present. It's never going to be that everything gets the right amount of time, right? But it's about the quality of time. You know, you travel all the time, Kristi, right? So right? So the moments that you're spending with, were the moments that you're spending with your family and your children, we have to make that count because it is about quality of time with the people we love and not quantity.
Oh, I totally agree. You can have all the time in the world to spend with your family, but if it's not quality time, it's kind of like pointless. So,
Exactly.
just making the most of the time that you do have. So I do want to talk about your trip to India because you don't even say that right because I always feel like I say that wrong.
Yes. Yes. The Gambia. That's
Yeah.
correct.
So you did that. You're doing it again.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that I love about this story is that it was a majority women's physician mission team.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that experience, impact it had on you and the communities you serve?
So this is just my love. Like when like I feel like the Gambia is my third child. For those of y'all who don't know, I am a twin mom, so I have two children. But when I just have such love when I talk about the Gambia. So this trip was a medical doctor, was a medical mission. It was a medical led team, and I was the only chiropractor on this team. When this opportunity first came up, I had no idea how I was going to be a part of it. I've done a mission trip before, but it was with a chiropractic team. So, I didn't know how I would fit into this medical team, I mean, it's so much, right? It's the mindset. It's I'm going to work in an actual hospital. So how, and we have our mind of what a hospital looks like here, meaning it doesn't usually, sometimes it includes chiropractic, but most of the time it doesn't. And I'm thinking they're not going to have, what am I going to do? I'm not an MD. I can't prescribe medication. I'm not a nurse. So I didn't know what I was going to do, but what I was committed to was finding a way that I could be supportive and give back to humanity. So if it meant that I wasn't a lead person and I just said, I'll pass the doctors, cotton balls if they need, if that's going to be in support of helping someone to heal. So, surprise, they actually had a physiotherapy department that they were really excited about. And actually, that was really that was the main focus initially of this trip was we want to help the physiotherapy department. It didn't come to me like that. It was, I thought it was going to be like about peds and things like that. So when I heard there was a physiotherapy department, I'm like, oh, I got this. This is my jam. These are my people. So, got the opportunity to literally introduce chiropractic to an entire hospital. Um, they didn't even know what the word was.
Wow.
They didn't know what a chiropractor was. I was the first one to go to the country, the first one in the country, the only one that is in the country that was there whenever I'm there, I'm the only one there and the only person who does chiropractic. So I was actually given a license. I don't know what kind of license they gave me, but they gave me a license to practice. Um, and I was able to actually treat patients and introduce chiropractic to them. I was able to adjust the head of the hospital.
Wow.
Um, Huge impact. There was a line outside. I had to make a makeshift table. I brought my activator with me and I was adjusting like mostly staff, like mostly the MDs, his wife, like all kinds of things. So there was a line outside. They would have to come get, like they'd have to send security to come get me from the department because so many people wanted to be adjusted because the word was spreading so quickly on how good people were feeling.
Oh,
Um,
that's amazing.
yeah, so they were sleeping better. They just were in awe of how well they felt. So I'm excited to go back in February. I'm taking another woman chiropractor with me. We're bringing nurses this time. We're bringing we're bringing pediatrics, we're bringing infectious disease doctors. So I'm so excited to see the impact. But I mean, the the immediate impact of people getting well so quickly from chiropractic care. And I'm just excited for what this journey is going to take us. We're hoping to introduce chiropractic to this country. Maybe it means, some kind of school. I'd like to have a wellness center there where people can come and learn about chiropractic. and also go on retreat and nourish their souls as well. So I'm just excited. Thank you for asking me about the Gambia.
I followed it when you were there was earlier this year.
Yeah, it was February.
Yes, and I followed the whole story as you were, going through that experience. But it's so different hearing you talk about it today because what an incredibly huge impact um, for chiropractic to come into this country. And, you saw the things that we already know, and just how
Right.
impactful it can be.
Exactly. So it was so wonderful just to see people feel better and just they're in awe. When I left, they were still calling for me. They
Oh
were
my God.
still calling, and she had to tell them I had left. The first lady of the country tried to was going to pay for me to stay longer. But the tickets were so expensive. But yeah, she did. There was a word put into the first lady of the country to ask me to stay.
Oh my goodness. And I can only imagine how much this is going to really grow in coming years. Like, I'm so excited. Just like what a huge impact you're having on the chiropractic profession worldwide.
Thank you so much.
So, we're going to take a quick commercial break so we can hear from our sponsors. Welcome back to our podcast with Dr. Neema Moore. So, people are probably wondering right now, like, you wrote a book, you're a doctor, you're traveling all over the world, you're the mom of twins, you're a wife. She has
Yep.
her own business, but she also volunteers her time. So she's involved in numerous professional organizations inside and outside of chiropractic. You do a lot of volunteer work. So, one, how do you find the time to do this? And two, what is the impact that it's had on you personally?
You know, I think it's just so important for collaboration. All of what I'm talking about has come through collaboration, and working with, people that might not be even in chiropractic. And I think that's really important is what I learned from my Gambia trip and all the other things that you're hearing that I'm involved in. But honestly, I've just wanted to create the life that I want. And I want other chiropractors to realize that for me, I'm a unicorn. I feel like I'm a chiropractic unicorn. I didn't want to die on the table in the back of my office. I was just like, I know there's more out there than just, and the adjustment is amazing, but I knew there was more for me than just only adjusting. And so I wanted to get out there and be able to explore, other outside of chiropractic and what that could mean for connecting the two together, continuing to spread the word of chiropractic. So it's a lot of blocking time out. It's a lot of blocking time out and really figuring out, what do you want your life to be like? All of us have different layers to us, even chiropractors who are going to watch this now. I know you all have different talents and gifts, and some of you like to paint, some of you are, plant mamas. There's so much to us than just one thing in life. And so I think it's important for us to bring all of those things together to really create the life that you want. So I hope that, women or just anyone seeing me realizes that you can create the life that you want. Yes, it takes time. And yes, sometimes it's not just about doing doing the things that everyone else does. Because to do all of this, there's certain things I can't do, right? Like I have to have time blocked out for my family. I have to travel, right? I have to schedule time to just have fun and go to see Usher concerts. You know, I have to take all that time. So I just want everyone to know that you can create the life you want. It does take, some time being strategic and talking to your loved ones, but ultimately the goal is for you to be happy because that impacts everyone around you.
I love how you talk about that everybody is like multi-layered. And I think if
Mhm.
you, especially in chiropractic, we feel like so mission driven and like very passionate about our love for this profession. And I think that sometimes we let that monopolize like all of our time, thinking, and everything. And if you're not feeding those other layers, I mean, how can you truly be fulfilled in your life?
Exactly.
And I think that's like one of the beautiful things about you is that you are doing so much stuff. Like, if y'all are not following her on social media, like, seriously, follow her on social.
Thank
Like,
you.
life goals, seriously.
Mhm.
I love to travel, as y'all know.
Yes.
So I'm super grateful to be at home today to be able to have this conversation. But I mean, I was just out of town with Neema a couple days
I'm so happy to be in my house today too. Right. There was-
like affectionately call it my vacation home. uh, but I wouldn't trade all the travel for the world because I love living life, traveling all over the country. But I agree with you. Like, there are certain things that are going to monopolize part of your time in different times of your life, even different times of the year. But feed all those other layers. Otherwise, you're never truly going to be.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
recently, you just did one of my bucket list things, and I want to talk about this.
Oh, what was it?
You spoke on the stage of TEDx about empowering global democracy.
Yes.
And can you share some insights about this experience and how it relates to, your work in chiropractic care and women's empowerment? Because seriously, I about just died when I saw it, and I was like, girl, um, I want to be on a TED stage one day. I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to be there one day.
So this experience was terrifying. Oh, yeah. Let me just tell you all, anytime you're on the TED platform, it is terrifying, especially if you're a speaker, because so first of all, I'm super grateful for the opportunity. But the TED stage, they specifically do not want you to promote yourself. So different than being like on a podcast where Kristi, you're so sweet to make me feel so good and talk about my accolades. They don't want to hear that when it comes to TED. TED is about, which is wonderful, by the way. It's about what problem do you solve? And, or what is the problem that you see? And how can you help solve that? What do you think you can bring to the table to solve that from your past experiences, from your knowledge? And so for a speaker, that is very challenging. That is very challenging to not talk about, sometimes people like to name drop, and things like that. They don't really want any of that. They really want you to stick to, you know, how can you um how can you promote, solving some of the world's problems. So it was terrifying. I had to redo how I speak altogether. People were up Grown people were up there up crying practically, not knowing what they're going to say next. So and these were other professionals. They were medical doctors, they were CPAs, they were professors, and you could feel the tension and the terror in the in the room. And I'm thinking
Probably.
everyone is so already accomplished. But what I learned from the experience and what I talked about was again the power of collaboration to really help people's voices. It's interesting. We're talking about this today. To help people's voices be heard. And that it's important that by working together, that we can really hear other people's perspectives, and that can help with democracy, with global democracy, because it's really about hearing people's voices and allowing people to be heard. But that only comes from when you have a seat at the table and that you actually come and begin to have conversations. And that's what I talked about on my TEDx talk.
So I love that so much. So I have to ask you, what is your favorite TED Talk you've ever watched?
Oh, probably Brené Brown. Like, when she was talking about, one of the moments that I remember of her talk is like when she was in the pool and it was about like communication with her and her husband. And he did something that made her feel, like he didn't want to talk to her. And she got upset and he didn't know why. And I just thought, oh my gosh, this woman is just taking something so simple and everyday that happens in marriages and really making a lesson out of it about how, perspective and communication and how things that can be perceived differently when you're talking about relationships. You can say one thing to someone and you're thinking, oh, they didn't, there's nothing about that. I didn't feel like coming over there. And the next person, the person you said it to, their world fell apart because they think you don't like them anymore. And, so I think she's amazing.
She is amazing, and I love that one. It's probably in one of my rotation. I love Tony Robbins, of
Yeah.
course, and like, oh my gosh, he's so funny. Um, and then Simon Sinek when he talked about people doing business with people they like, I was like, whoa, game changer. Um, because that's the reality. Like, you can think the product is mediocre, but you just really like the people, and your interaction with the people makes you want to utilize that product, even if there's a better product out there, but you don't like the people. I mean,
Exactly.
I mean, we work in a profession where the product is like, a
Like,
15 on a scale of 1 to 10. And the
yeah,
people are amazing too. For any non-chiros that are watching this out there, if you haven't been adjusted, you should be.
please. I said at Cleveland University, everyone needs to be adjusted. We've got the information to support that.
And I love that your vulnerability about talking about like, well, not just you, but other people who are speakers who get up there and, it's nerve wracking, one, to be a speaker. If you've never done it, it's always crazy. I actually got sick about 10 minutes before I spoke on the stage at Parker because I thought the room was much, much smaller. And then I
And
walked in there and I didn't know that it was set for like 1,000 people. So when I walked into the room, I was so far back, I could barely see the stage. And I literally walked out and just walked into the restroom because I was like, I can't do this. I've been speaking for like 7 or 8 years.
yeah,
And
yeah.
a topic that I talk about all the time. So I can only imagine what you feel, the nerves you feel on a TED stage.
I think one of the great things about being a speaker is that it constantly tests your, personal growth and personal development, and allows us to kind of question and challenge each time we get on the stage. Listen, Beyonce says she still gets nervous every time she performs. So I feel like that gives all of us grace.
I totally agree. If the queen be herself, gets nervous on stage, then it's all good for us. You know, it's really funny. So people who've known me for a really long time know that I'm like incredibly shy and I'm very introverted with an extrovert job. Like it took a lot of work and training to get where I am today. Um, but I think when I finally like I wanted to get over the fear, I wanted to push myself to be like, if I can barely have conversations with people at a booth at an event, could I speak on a stage in front of hundreds of people, or in the case of Parker, it was over 1,000. Um, and I thought to myself after I went through that experience, if I ever get to the point where I don't feel nervous, then I don't want to do this anymore.
Exactly.
It's time to do something new that challenges me because I think if you're not challenging yourself, you're not growing.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
this is why I love you and that's everything. You got to push your comfort zone, people.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's come back to chiropractic. So we talked about your volunteer. So this year you joined the board of women chiropractors. I am so excited.
I
Y'all
love them
telling
so
me.
much.
Yes, you can be fans of your friends like big time, right? Cheer.
Really?
So, like huge fan. Um, so you're helping to like really help shape the future of the chiropractic profession because we're at this place now at a 129-year-old profession that has been very much a male-dominated industry.
Mhm.
But I think that was a lot in healthcare for many, many years. But
Sure.
we have seen this huge pivotal shift in the last decade where right now we're sitting at like 50-50 men and women working in this profession. And the number of women joining the profession is growing every single day. So it's interesting what I've learned working with women chiropractors and it's the things you don't put to perspective until you're having those conversations is being a chiropractor as a woman is very distinctly different than it is for a man.
Right.
Um, and personally, like we're juggling all these different things. Not that you guys are not doing the same. Um, but I mean, you're working through your pregnancies, you're raising a family and adjusting and managing a business, and I'm like, it's crazy. And I didn't really think about that perspective until I went to my first women chiropractor event. So, since you're part of this growing number of women supporting those women in the future of chiropractic, um, how do you envision um, how things are going to be in the future? Like, how are things evolving into the future of this profession?
I really think that women, I think chiropractic is going to see a switch and that it's going to be more women dominated. I think we're just such caring and nurturing individuals. And so we're very drawn to chiropractic for that reason. As well as, the pediatric portion, women love the pediatric portion of chiropractic and can identify with being a mom, raising babies, adjusting babies. And so I think we're going to continue to see a grow, to just continue to see a rise in women chiropractors in the industry. And I think that's going to shift some of these conferences. I think it's going to shift even this weekend, seeing so many women on stage talking about science and chiropractic and bringing their knowledge to this organization or just to this group of profession. So I think we're going to see a change in that. I think we're also going to see a change in bringing other things into ways of making revenue into the chiropractic industry. The women are looking for other ways, whether it's, weight loss products or laser. I think we're going to begin to see even more of that come into play, and practices kind of change from only being chiropractic to, incorporating other modalities as well.
I completely agree. And, I think if you're a pregnant woman who's getting adjusted to, it's great to have a chiropractor who's working with you that knows exactly how you feel. You don't even really have to put it into words. They know exactly what you're going through, and helping you through that process and loving on your babies when they come into this world. And I think it's just been a massively transformative thing for me to be more involved in these women chiropractic events and hearing these stories, because it changes the way people operate their business. You're seeing a lot of people who are doing almost like a co-op thing so that nobody actually has to work full time, but the practice
Right.
is open full time.
Yes.
Yeah, like all of these really cool things that are just now entering into the profession. And again, it all comes down to collaboration, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to do some just for fun questions.
Okay.
What talent do you have that most people don't know about?
That I can read lips when people are talking and I can't hear the sound. I can, you know, kind of read lips a little bit, I feel like that's a talent.
Oh, yeah, that is a great talent. Standing next to you the next and be like, oh my goodness. Okay. What is the worst job you've ever had?
I had this job when I was this scientist because my first degree is in biology and I was fresh out of college. And, my mom had always taught me to dress up when I went to interviews. So I dressed up in a suit and I went to this place that was a lab, and it was like in the middle of nowhere in Michigan. And I had to trudge across like all this mud. I had to I don't even know what I was testing, but it was like sludge. I had to test different, I was in a lab all day. I'm such a people person and I am an extrovert. So I love to be around people. So to be in a lab coat with no windows all day, like sticking different things inside of different pieces of mud, it was horrible.
Well, can I just say, for one, I am thankful that your journey and like that journey you took from a biology degree and research took you to chiropractic school and made you who you are today, because I'm just saying that the world would be less, it would just not be as interesting, fun, and have a lot less sparkle in it.
Thank you
Bring
so
all that,
much. Yes.
all of that. Um, so I just want to thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Ray, as well, for allowing me to come on your podcast.
Um, Thank you all for listening to ChiroSphere today. If you have not read the book, let me strongly encourage you, go to Amazon, buy it
Yes.
now. Buy
Yes.
it now.
Easy
And
read.
yes, and if you are got an event in your area and you see that Dr. Neema is speaking on a stage near you, I encourage you, go. She's going to touch on some things that are in this book, but more so, it's not very often that you go to a class, a seminar, CEs, and you have fun. You have so much.
Exactly. You guys follow me on my social media. It's Dr. Neema DC on all platforms.
Yes, definitely follow her. After all, she's got a lot of amazing adventures coming up in her life, and trust me, it is fantastic, and it's a good lift you up in the middle of the day while you're scrolling social media, but we shouldn't. But following Dr. Neema will definitely lift you up.
So
Please subscribe and share the podcast with your friends, and let us know who you would like to hear from in the future, what topics you would like us to cover, and we will do our best to deliver. If you want to learn more about Chiro Health USA and how we can help you develop a compliant, profitable discount strategy that will absolutely grow your practice and your income, call us at 888-719-9990. or visit our website, chusa.com, to find out why Chiro Health USA is the network that works for chiropractic and you.